Hello everyone, this is Tejas Raj from Sri Venkateswara College of Engineering from the course of Data Science, and I am here to discuss about what is overloading methods in Java. So this is a very basic concept in Java. Let's move on. Method overloading in Java is a feature that allows a class to have multiple methods within the same name as long as they have different parameters. This powerful concept enables the developer to create a more efficient and flexible APIs, making the code more flexible and readable. Also, by understanding the method overloading, Java program can leverage the language features to write efficient and versatile application. Because this in Java overloading, this creates an environment where we can create a program in a very efficient way and in a very applicable manner, so that it will be a very easy to the user to use the program and also to understand the program. Now we are moving to what is method overloading, and also we'll discuss what are the rules and should be follows in method overloading, and how can we uh, what are the advantages and disadvantages of the overloading and how to overcome these problems. We'll discuss further. Now first one is definition. What is method overloading? So method overloading is a feature in Java that allows a class to have multiple methods with the same name as long as the parameters different parameters. This means that the method name can be used to call different implementation the method depending on the argument passed. And also distinguishing overload methods. Overloaded methods are differentiated by the number, type, and order of the parameters. The return type of the method is not used to distinguish overloaded methods. We also discuss about the programs in later on. Compile time resolution. The Java compiler is responsible for determining which overloaded method to call at compile time based on the arguments passed to the method call. We'll discuss this. Now we are moving to syntax and rules for method overloading. So the first thing is syntax. To overload a method in Java, you simply need to declare multiple methods within the same name but different parameters list within the same name. And also, for example, it is given public void print int I, where public is an access modifier, void is tells that the function is or the method is not returning any of the value. Then print is an method name. Int I is a parameter list. It can be increased as you can see in below functions. Then we'll create a bracket which is we called as scope also. Then uh, inside we can give any of the kind of system dot out dot println, or we can print anything there and we can mention and close the bracket. Then in the second method we are creating the name, the same method name which we already defined, and also but the parameter is different as you can see string s. Then again in the third line public void print int I and int s. So in the brackets you can give anything to print or anything to add, for example return a plus b, which it will return a value. Then we'll see the rules, which the method name must be the same, the parameter list must be different number order of parameters. If it is same, it is not called as a method overloading, it just defined as a method of another method. And the different the return type can be the same or different. Overloading methods must be defined within the same class. Overloading is a compile time feature. Actually it is a compile time feature, not a runtime feature. So let's move on. Now we'll see differentiating overloaded method. The first thing is number of parameters. Overloaded methods can have different number of parameters. For example, one method might take a single integer arguments, as you can see in previous slide, while another might take two integer or more. And order of parameter. Overloaded methods can have the same number and types of parameters but in a different order. For example, one method might take an integer and a string, while another might take a string and an integer. It depends on the user how he needs. Then the data types of parameters. Overloaded methods can have parameter of different data types. For example, one method might take an integer arguments while another might take a string argument. Then we'll move on to the next slide. Now we'll move on to the advantages or benefits of method overloading. So first thing is improved code readability. It means by using method overloading, developers can create more number of code very easily and very readable manner. And also increased flexibility means overloading allows a single method name to be used for multiple implementations. Then reduce complexity, it improved maintainability also. Now we'll move on to the overloading constructors. The constructor overloading means method overloading can also be applied to constructors, allowing a class to have multiple constructor with different parameter list. Then parameter variations. Constructor can be overloaded by varying the number, type of order of their parameter, just like regular methods. Calling other constructor. Overloaded constructor can call other overloading constructor using the this keyword, allowing for code reuse and more flexible object initialization. Then default constructor is also a very good a code which, if no constructor is explicitly defined, Java provides a default constructor with no parameter. This can also be a overloaded. Then let's move on. Now we are moving to overloading and type promotions. So type promotion is which, when choosing while overloading method to call the Java compiler, will perform type promotions to find the best match. This means it will automatically convert smaller data types to larger ones if necessary. For example, if a method takes an int parameter, a byte argument can be passed and the compiler will promote the byte to an int. Then ambiguity resolution. If type promotion does not resolve the ambiguity between the multiple overloaded methods, the compiler will choose the most specific method that can accept the arguments. If there is still ambiguity, the compiler will generate a compile time error, and the programmer must manually resolve the issue. Then the primitive versus objective types. When overloading methods, the compiler will prefer object types over primitive types. For example, if there are overloaded methods that take both an integer and an int, the integer version will be chosen. So let's move on. Next, we are moving to overloading and method resolutions. Compile time resolution, and there is a best match and ambiguity handling. So in compile time resolution, method overloading is a compile time feature, which means the Java compiler is responsible for determining which overloading method to call based on the argument passed at the call site. Then the best match. The compiler will choose the most specific overloaded method that can accept the arguments provided. This is determined by the number, type, and order of the parameter. Then it comes to the ambiguity handling. If the compiler cannot determine the best match, it will generate a compile time error, and the programmer must manually resolve the ambiguity by providing more specific method calls or overloaded method signature. So let's move on. Then next we are moving to the common use cases for overloading. You can see in this image, overloading print methods is there. In that, printing method means overloading is commonly used in printing methods, where the same print method can accept different data types such as integer, strings, or even custom objects. Then we are coming to the mathematical operation. Overloading is also useful for mathematical operation where the same method name, example add, multiply, can be used to perform the operations on different data types. Then object initialization. As mentioned earlier, overloading is commonly used for constructor, allowing a class to have a multiple way to initialize something, an object based on the available data also. As you can see in this images, public string name, public double weight, private double height. It is also mentioned in the arrow mark that where it is used. And public dog is a method. This dot name is specifying this is that initializing the object, which is instance of an object which is declared in a dog method. Then this dot weight, which is the variable. Then this dot height. Then public dog string name double weight double height. This dot name is equal to name. Here actually uh, default no argument constructor is used. As you can see that public dog, there is no parameter, which is no argument constructor. Then in the second line there is a public dog string name and also double weight and double height, which is this dot name is equal to name. So we can see the two overloaded parameters constructor and also a no argument constructor in this. Then in the second image, when you come to in this, that static int abs int x, static double abs double x. Then additional ones are static long abs long x, static float abs, then float x. Here it is given that how can a class have four different versions of a method, because when one of this method is called, Java inspects the parameters. So then sometimes classes contains multiple versions of the same method. This is called overloading. In example it is given as you can see. Then overloading print method, it is telling that method void print. Then we are giving a print statements over there, which is actually, this is a C program, but in Java it is a very useful common use cases for overloading. So let's move on. The final topic that we are discussing is best practices for overloading methods. The first thing is maintain consistency. We have to maintain the consistency. Then avoid ambiguity. Then document clearly. Use meaningful names. Leverage type promotions. As we discussed, what is maintain consistency means, ensure the overloaded methods have a clear and consistent purpose within the class. Then be mindful of potential ambiguity when defining overloading methods, and ensure that the method signature be distinct enough to avoid compiler errors, and so on. Provide clear and through documentation for overloading methods, explaining the difference in the parameter and the use cases. And also we see the use meaningful names, then leverage types promotions. So thank you everyone for watching this video. Thank you.